The woods, like so much of our existence, are filled with dark and terrifying mysteries. There have been many horror stories reported about the danger that lurks beyond the normally dense forest, but not all of the stories have been able to be revealed. Fortunately, we've been able to see some of the nasty things that happen when the trees think no one is looking, thanks to trail cameras that are set up to capture wildlife. Before we explore the creepiest things ever found in the woods, please like and subscribe to this channel while you're watching. Number 10. A rock thrower in the wood. On a solitary trip to his favorite place, a solo camper reported seeing a man facing him with a massive rock in one hand and a knife in the other. He thought it was strange, but that other bushcrafter had camped there as well, so he offered a usual "hey man" yell and waved. When he went a little closer, it appeared to be nothing more than a rock. He turned around and began walking away, laughing it off. A boulder sped by his right ear, fast and large enough to seriously injure him if it had struck him. When he turned around to see where the rock had come from, the figure he'd seen had vanished. He had to leave right away. Number 9. A strange place for the circus. What could be scarier than stumbling across a clown in the middle of the woods? Some people believe that seeing a clown is scary enough, while others believe that these party entertainers are nothing out of the ordinary. Even if you aren't afraid of clowns, you have to admit that the image is quite frightening. Why would a clown dressed in full costume be roaming through the woods? What more? Why is it peering straight into the trail camera? Trail cameras are usually camouflaged to avoid disturbing the natural environment or distracting the people in the area. This clown had no trouble identifying hidden technology and seemed to be a little troubled that it exists at all. Is this just another trail cam hoax designed to attract attention? Maybe there's a lunatic killer clown out there in the woods trying to entice kids to a hidden forest torture camp. Number 8. Confession. We all know that writing or signs are supposed to help us navigate an unfamiliar location, especially if we're new to the area. But this was not the case here. A man came upon a piece of wood with the words, "In the river lies a girl, in the water swimming her blood," engraved on it while wandering through the woods. He never found a girl's body or any evidence of blood, but it was creepy. Number 7. Hanging dolls in the forest. This shot of the island of the dolls is frightening without being intentionally so. After discovering the remains of a little girl in the waves of the island shore, a local was haunted by her untimely death. He began hanging dolls in the trees to enable her soul to feel more at ease when walking the island and maybe to help her find peace. The trend caught on, and the island of the dolls was born before anyone's eyes. Years later, the dolls were exposed to various weather conditions as a result of the influx of tourists, and some of the dolls were beheaded, disfigured, and mutated looking. What started as a charming way to memorialize a lost child has turned into a horrifying tourist attraction that looks like something out of a horror movie. Number 6. A plane crash finally found. Imagine yourself strolling through the woods and coming across this scary sight. Thankfully, the plane that had been lost for so long was recovered, giving the families time to grieve and bury their loved ones rather than worrying about where they could be. Because it had been so long, you can tell that there isn't much left of the people who tragically died when the plane went down, as only skeletons were found among the jet's wreckage. Photographs like these are heartbreaking, but they serve as reminders of what happens when a catastrophe occurs. Although this was a sad incident, the family may finally rest in peace after learning the truth about what transpired. Number 5. Bleeding deer head. Wolves, coyotes, and humans are frequently the top predators in the woods for deer. When it comes to humans, we normally shoot them with weapons or bows and arrows, resulting in speedy death. Wolves and coyotes normally attack the deer's throat first, putting them out of their suffering before devouring their prey. However, in the case of this deer, we must question what occurred to it to cause it to bleed from the head. Some believe it was involved in a battle with another deer, but the amount of blood on the ground and the fact that it is still alive could imply something else. Trail cameras are fantastic because they provide a unique perspective on wildlife. However, this brings with it a whole new set of questions. What horrible things happen in the woods to generate all these terrifying images? Getting scared already? While the bleeding deer head might give you goosebumps if you see it, make sure you stick around for number 1 to get your mind blown away. Number 4. Hanging man. Suicide by hanging is a common method of committing suicide. Unlike firearms or poisons, the supplies needed for suicide by hanging are easily available to the general public. Because complete suspension is not required, hanging is especially common among suicidal convicts. Self-strangulation with a ligature around the neck and a partial weight of the body, partial suspension to tighten the ligature can produce sort of a hanging similar to full suspension hanging. This was a typical situation for a park ranger who had only been in the job for a month. He reached the densely forested region and discovered a dead man hanging from the tree. It was also mentioned that suicide occurs roughly once a year there. Because he didn't have a ladder tall enough to cut the body down, he had to stay beside the dead hanging body for an hour, and that's how long it took the coroner to arrive. Number 3. Gravestone. A hiker named Riverwolf spotted a gravestone with the name Marie Holmes on it near Santa Cruz. It became out that her headstone has vanished from the cemetery where she was originally buried. In 1898, the woman was a prostitute in town who committed herself by swallowing poison in front of a saloon. Number 2. Blood and bones. A group of hikers were hiking, and one of the females reported she felt something rain on her as they walked. It was blood, and she went to wipe it away. When they looked up, they noticed a half-eaten deer in a tree. Another of their friends had gone hiking in the same region and discovered a bone. She kept it and took it home with her. One of her pre-med friends was perplexed when she saw the bone because she kept asking why a distal phalanx bone from a human hand was on her desk. Number 1. Thumb nailed to a tree. The last thing you'd want to come across in the woods is a severed human part, but that's exactly what a group of hikers in California discovered while wandering through the woods. As the group was happily walking through the woods, one of them saw something that seemed to attract flies hanging on a tree. At first they thought it might be the remains of prey, but as they got closer they discovered it was not just anything like that. It was a human thumb nailed to a tree. This brings us to the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, then please do give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more.